Whilst the suppression of fire by water is the most obvious and of course most important benefit of an automatic fire sprinkler installation, there's a wide range of associated advantages.
Life safety is important to insurers, but there's also the property and business interruption angle that obviously we look at. In my experience, we've never suffered the loss of life in premises with a correctly designed sprinkler system. And indeed, in some 60% of fires, those fires are controlled by 4 sprinkler heads or less, which just illustrates that the property damage is vastly mitigated, as is the business interruption. I can recall losses where clients have been up and running within 24 hours of a fire loss in sprinkler-protected premises.
In the event of a fire, the first benefit of a sprinkler system is detection. A sprinkler system will detect a fire via the heat sensitivity of the sprinkler head nearest the outbreak of the fire. If a small fire is to be prevented from developing into a big fire, immediate action is crucial. The promptness of sprinkler response answers that need. So, suppression follows directly on detection.
We still have fires, of course, whether they're accidental or started intentionally. You can't really avoid having fires, but out of 11 major incidents where previously we probably would have lost the whole building, the sprinklers have managed to contain the fire and we haven't had any total losses at all. And I think that track record post the installation of the sprinkler systems speaks for itself.
Raising the alarm of a fire is another crucial action if the fire is to be contained and extinguished, and people alerted and safely evacuated. The second that a sprinkler head's valve seal is released, water begins to flow in the system, and an alarm sounds immediately, driven by the movement of the water. The mechanical alarm can be, and often is, combined with an electronic signal to activate other alarms and to transmit to a remote receiving centre.
Is that on Woodlands Avenue? OK. That's fine, we're on our way to you.
So, the immediate operational benefits of automatic fire sprinklers are the simultaneous detection, suppression and raising of the alarm, both locally and remotely to the emergency services. Another huge benefit, of course, is the comprehensive protection guaranteed by a sprinkler system. It's continuously on duty for 24 hours of every day of the year. And if the system is properly designed, it will protect the whole of a premises, no matter how remote and whether or not it is inhabited, and no matter how long it takes the local fire service to attend. Aside from the regular, necessary inspection and maintenance visits, no human intervention is required. The simplicity of the system's mechanics and the physical principles underlying its activation mean that sprinklers have an unmatched record of efficiency and reliability, a record recognised by fire services worldwide.
Over many years, we've seen that sprinklers have a very, very reliable track record. They don't give rise to false alarms. We know that if we attend a building where there are sprinkler protection, in effect the fire is already being fought and controlled before we've even arrived. And in terms of assessing the risk to our own firefighters, we will be much safer in having to fight that type of fire. They save lives, particularly when you are talking about residential sprinklers, people in affordable housing, that type of thing. They reduce the damage to the environment because the size of the fire is smaller, and in these very competitive days, of course, any fire can be quite catastrophic for its business continuity.
And it's a long-term solution to fire protection, with a lifespan of many decades. As a consequence of a system's design for purpose, most fires are suppressed and may be extinguished by the activation of just one sprinkler head, not the premises-wide deluge depicted in TV ads and disaster movies. The selective nature of such a response minimises smoke and water damage to stock and buildings and restricts the potential for damage caused by water runoff in the wider environment. But there are other, less obvious benefits, not least the improvement in the level of insurability of sprinkler-protected premises as opposed to similar but unsprinklered buildings.
Insurers have over a century of experience with automatic fire sprinkler systems. Their record is unrivalled and unchallenged, which is why we offer significant premium incentives for a risk that has sprinkler protection if it's correctly designed, installed and maintained. The incentives can be quite considerable, up to 50-60% in some instances.
The icing on the cake, as it were, is that over that period of time we believe we've saved a significant amount of money in terms of reduced insurance premiums.
The less evident but commercially advantageous benefits identified by B&Q's property director Terry Hartwell helped to persuade the company's board to invest in a £20 million estate-wide sprinkler installation programme.
It's given us that bit more flexibility in the way that we lay out our stores from a racking and merchandising point of view. There is this trade-off between the standards expected in the building regulations over things like travel distances and travel times and the installation of sprinklers, which obviously give the people the means of escaping in a more orderly way, because the fire is going to be contained while they're getting out of the building. We're much less hidebound by onerous regulations to do with compartmentation and travel distances because of the installation of sprinklers.
Similar trade-offs were of immense aesthetic as well as economic benefit in the refurbishment of a Grade 2 listed Crescent in Folkestone. The original requirement for ugly, New York-style external emergency staircases was overcome when the developers introduced sprinklers into the negotiation. Sprinkler protection for 61 apartments won the day. And finally, for Terry Hartwell, sprinkler protection offers another invaluable benefit.
I can sleep at night. I haven't had any of those phone calls for the last 5 or 6 years.